The icy winds of Wyoming howled across the deserted train station as dusk settled over the quiet valley, turning the world into a blur of blue shadows and frost. And it was there, beneath a flickering lantern, that millionaire rancher Cole Harrington first saw her. A young nurse curled on the wooden bench, shivering violently, clutching a worn suitcase as if it held her very last hope. Cole had stopped at the station only to deliver supplies to an incoming passenger, but when he stepped off his horse and caught sight of her pale lips and trembling fingers, something instinctive pulled him forward. "Ma'am, you'll freeze out here," he said, his deep voice cutting through the wind, and the nurse blinked up at him, with eyes filled with exhaustion and defeat. Her name was Lily Carter, a traveling nurse who had just been dismissed from a war hospital due to budget cuts, and she had spent the last of her money on a ticket that was supposed to take her to a new job, except the train had broken down miles back, leaving her stranded with nowhere to go. Cole's heart, despite his rugged exterior and reputation as one of the wealthiest, yet most private ranchers in the West, clenched at the sight of her trying to appear brave. Without hesitation, he wrapped his thick coat around her shoulders and guided her toward his horse, lifting her gently into the saddle as if she weighed nothing. As they rode through the snowy trail toward the Harrington Ranch, Lily felt warmth for the first time in hours, not just from the coat but from the surprising kindness of a stranger whose name echoed through the valley like a legend, wealthy, untouchable, solitary. When they reached his sprawling ranch house, he carried her inside, startling the household staff, who whispered with raised brows that their boss never brought anyone home. As Lily sipped hot soup in front of the roaring fireplace, she glanced around at the luxurious wooden walls, hunting trophies and shelves lined with books and records. Realizing the ranch wasn't just vast, it was lonely. Cole watched her with a quiet concern that softened his rugged jaw, his mind full of questions he didn't voice. Why was she alone? Who had let her travel in such brutal weather? And why did her vulnerability stir something inside him he had long buried? Over the next days, Lily regained her strength, walking slowly around the warm ranch, finding solace among horses, barns, and the endless stretch of snowy fields. She offered to help with basic medical care for the ranch workers, and Cole found himself admiring her dedication and gentle touch. The staff adored her, the animals calmed beneath her voice, and Cole, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, a warmth that had nothing to do with the fireplace. One morning, while Lily was tending to an injured foal, Cole found himself leaning against the stable door, arms crossed, unable to look away. And he confessed softly, "I haven't had company in a long time." Lily smiled faintly, saying she hadn't felt welcome anywhere in a long while either, and their eyes met with a spark that seemed to melt the very snow outside. The days grew brighter as they spent more time together, riding horses, sharing meals, revealing bits of their pasts. Cole spoke of losing his parents early and building the ranch empire alone. Lily spoke of losing her brother in the war and dedicating her life to nursing in his memory. Their shared grief became a silent bridge between their souls. But one evening, just as their bond began to feel unbreakable, a telegram arrived for Lily, offering her the hospital position she had been praying for. She stared at the message with tears gathering, torn between the brighter future she had chased for years and the unexpected home she had begun to build here. Without meaning to, inside the heart of a man she was afraid to love. Cole saw the conflict in her face and said quietly, "Don't stay here for me. But don't leave if your heart tells you to hold on." Lily went to her room, that night confused and overwhelmed, whispering to herself that sometimes the right path wasn't the one she had planned. The next morning dawned with golden sunlight painting the ranch in warm strokes that made the snow glitter like scattered diamonds. Yet Lily's heart felt heavy as she watched Cole from the window, saddling his horse with practiced ease, unaware that she stood there memorizing him, the way the light struck his hat, the determined set of his jaw, the gentleness hidden beneath strength. She clutched the telegram in her hand, the edges slightly crumpled from hours of indecision, and finally stepped outside to tell him her choice. But before she could speak, Cole turned and said, "If you need to leave, I'll take you to the station myself." His voice was steady, but his eyes carried storms he didn't let show. Instead of answering, Lily asked him to ride with her one last time, and they took the trail, through the hills where the wind carried the scent of pine, and the mountains stood tall like silent witnesses to their unspoken feelings. As they rode, Lily confessed the truth that kept her awake. "I've spent my whole life giving everything to everyone. For once, I don't know what choosing myself means." Cole halted his horse beside hers, and the stillness around them seemed to hush the world. He said softly, "Choosing yourself doesn't mean leaving the people who care about you. Sometimes it means letting someone care." Lily felt the weight of his words settle into her heart. But before she could respond, a rider approached urgently. It was one of Cole's ranch hands, breathless, explaining that an accident had occurred at the far paddock. A ranch worker had been thrown from a horse, badly injured without hesitation. Lily leapt from her saddle and ran downhill with Cole, her medical instincts taking over. They reached the fallen worker, and Lily knelt by him, giving instructions with clarity and authority, stabilizing his breathing and stopping the bleeding with nothing but torn fabric and steady hands. Cole watched her in awe. This woman, who had arrived at a train station half frozen and hopeless, now commanded life with courage and grace. After hours of tending to the injured man, Lily finally sat back, exhausted but relieved, and Cole knelt beside her, his voice thick with emotion as he said, "You saved him. You saved us all." At that moment, Lily realized something profound. Her purpose didn't require a city hospital or a formal job. Purpose existed wherever there were people who needed her heart, her hands, her strength. As the sun set behind the mountains, Cole took her hand and said the words that had been burning inside him from the moment he found her. Shivering at the station, "Lily Carter, stay, not because you're lost, not because you owe me anything. Stay because I can't imagine a single winter, or summer, or lifetime without you." Tears streamed down Lily's cheeks as she whispered, "I don't want to imagine mine without you either." And right there, surrounded by the golden glow of evening and the quiet gratitude of the ranch workers she helped, she chose him, she chose home. Months later, their love story became the talk of the valley. A millionaire, cowboy, and a resilient nurse whose chance encounter at a freezing train station turned into a love powerful enough to be remembered for generations. The ranch thrived under their partnership. Lily established a small clinic on the property, offering care to ranch families across the region, while Cole found joy in a life he thought forever doomed to loneliness. And whenever winter winds swept across the valley, someone would always smile and say, "That cold night changed everything."